All right. Good evening. On behalf of the Lakeview branch of the American Association of University Women, we welcome you to the local 2016 General Election Candidates Forum. We are live in the air with KORV 93.5 FM, so we welcome the listening audience. And I'm so pleased to know that there are so many people that are listening this evening. At this time, I'd like to make an announcement, and I'd like for you to stand, and we will follow this by the Pledge of Allegiance. I would like to read this announcement. We would like to take a moment in silence to recognize the loss of the Modoc County Sheriff's deputy killed in the line of duty this morning. The pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and be seated. The purpose of the forum is to have a better informed voter, to meet the candidates, and have them field your questions. I'm Lori Noel Crocker, the moderator of this evening's forum. I think I've been doing this for far too many years, and so somebody needs to be in training. Our timers this evening are AAUW President Debbie Watts and Vice President Kelly Grindle. Would you please welcome them? We need to say thank you to Joss Jaworski, the Lake County IT Manager, for setting up the mic equipment, KORV for broadcasting the forum live, and the Examiner for the video to be streamed unedited on YouTube within 36 to 48 hours. So we thank Jimmy for being here this evening. And remember, that is unedited, and all they do is take some noise out, and then I always have a copy of the DVD, okay? If anybody needs that. We'd like to also thank the students and the staff from COIC for helping set up and then for tearing down. These are good kids, and so if you see any of them, please thank them. And the Senior Center and the Director, Andrew Wishart, for letting us have this forum as a community service. We really appreciate being here. We welcome all the candidates this evening and encourage you, the audience, to write tasteful, positive, and informative questions which will allow a candidate to give his or her point of view on an issue. There are lots of things that need to be asked and many questions that need to be answered. Please turn off all your cell phones during the forum unless you are emergency personnel. Some candidates have provided literature and yard signs for you to take home, and some goodies back there, and so please, I know that there were people here from Klamath, and we welcomed them this evening when they were here to meet and greet with you. So there are signs for you to take home. The ballots were mailed today and are due back in the courthouse by 8 o'clock on November the 8th. AAUW does not endorse any candidate nor political party. And I think I've answered that question about 5 or 6 times this last week. But we do not. We just simply provide a venue very much like the League of Women Voters. Our format is to have each candidate introduce himself or herself within a 2-minute time frame, followed by Judy Stewart, who will discuss the County Measure 1931, the legalization of marijuana related to business. That is on the little handout that you were given, as it appears, as it will appear on the ballot. During the intermission, please turn in your cards with the written questions on the card provided by AAUW. They are green this evening, okay? But make sure you have the candidate or candidates to whom you wish to ask these questions. Following the intermission, the candidates will then field your questions with a 1-minute time limit. So at this time, we're going to begin. All right, and I would like each of the candidates to speak right here in front of these mics, because that way it goes to you, to the radio, and then to the filming and so forth. So we're going to start with Brad Winters, followed by Bruce Webbing.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Thank you, AAUW, for putting this on. Many years I've participated in these forums. A little bit about myself. My name is Brad Winters, lifelong resident of Lake County. Other times you've heard me speak. I was born right here in this building in 1961. I'm 55 years old. Been married for 38 years to my lovely wife, Tanya, sitting here in the audience. I have 3 natural-born kids, plus 1 that I raised from 7th grade on, 6 grandkids. Very proud of my family. My heart's in Lake County. That's where it's always going to be. I'm not only going to be buried here, but I'm going to live here. I want to make a difference, and I have over the years. I will continue to do that. Some of the things I've done has been on transportation. There's been 5 Connect Oregon, might be wrong on that, 5 Connect Oregon projects in Lake County, 3 at the railroad. There will be 2 at the local airport, and there's 1 in Christmas Valley. That takes teamwork. That takes the people that surround me to be able to make that happen. From the presentation at the first part, to where it goes all the way up to the Super Act in Portland and the final act in Portland. So transportation is important to me. I've worked on curve corrections on Highway 140 East. There's been the double S curves corrected there. Drake's Creek curve's been corrected there. That's a partnership with ODOT, with our federal players. Locally, one of the things I'm very proud of is the Smink Museum becoming county ownership for the cost of $1 here just a few months ago. Along with that came some operating dollars that kept our local history here. Very proud of that. My track record goes back many years. I have a lot of successes because I surround myself with good people. The employees of Lake County are awesome employees. I usually put a team together to be able to make things happen. It's not individual, but I'm able to do that. That's one of my gifts. I look forward to being able to do that another 4 years and bring very positive growth to Lake County. Thank you very much. Appreciate you voting.
Thank you, Brad. Also running for Lake County Commissioner Position 1, which is a nonpartisan, Bruce Webben.
Well, I'd also like to thank the organizers, and in particular, I'd like to thank the roughly 60% of the voters who voted for change in Lake County. Between myself and Jana Hannes, I'd like to thank Jana for her support, and my committee who's just been giving me immeasurable support. This is my first experience at doing this kind of thing, so I have no experience in politics. I have close to 50 years experience as an engineer, manager, project manager. I've worked for universities, I've worked for private companies, I've worked for the federal government, and I'm trained in contract management. So I've got, I think, a lot of relevant experience, but certainly not in this kind of thing. I also have a record of building teams to accomplish things. One of the first things you need to do when you find something you want to accomplish is you need to define the problem. And that's something that I really feel is not done very well often at many levels of government. Really, what is it you're trying to accomplish? And once that's defined, then other things kind of fall together. I was not born here in Lake County, you know that, but I chose to live here. And I've lived here in Lake County for longer than I've lived anywhere in my life. And that was by choice. So I've adopted Lake County as my home, and I think my experience is very relevant to the job, and I hope that I'll be elected so that I can demonstrate that. Thank you.
At this time, we'll move right on down the list, and the Lake County District Attorney candidate, nonpartisan, Sharon Forster.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I am Sharon Forster. I've been an attorney for 22 years. I've been a prosecutor for the past 14 years in Klamath County. As you know, I'm now the only person that is on the ballot for district attorney. Since the other candidate resigned, I've spent a lot of time thinking about what it's going to be your next district attorney. I've spent a lot of time thinking of the work that I have to do as I take office. And this morning, at about 10:45, that really changed. I got the call of the deputy that was killed in Modoc County, and it really brought it home as to what it means to be the district attorney and what it must mean to be down there and be a member of law enforcement. And it all changes. It's not in Atlanta anymore. It's not in Chicago, it's in our backyard. Those are our neighbors. It's here. And it's a very sad day for us, and so I'm not sitting here as a real jovial person addressing you today. I'm very, very sad. We've got a lot of work to do, ladies and gentlemen. We've got methamphetamine right here in our yard, and we're wondering what happened down there. I have a lot of work to do. Methamphetamine is the #1 problem in our community, and we need to address that, and that's what I plan to do. And our law enforcement officers back there, my heart goes out, we're saddened, and we need to help Modoc County as they go through this. We as our community, we're their neighbors. They respond to us, we call them for help, and we need to be there for them. And so I am invested in this community. As many of you know, I have bought a home here. I'm ready to get started. I'm ready to get started right now today to go down there and see what I can do to help them. And I hope all of you reach out to them as well. I'm ready to get started. I'm ready to be your next EA and tackle these and jump in with both feet. I am the only name on the ballot, but I need you to mark that ballot, color in that dot. There is somebody that has now come in as a write-in candidate, but we still need to mark the dot. I want you to do that so I know that I have your support, and most importantly, that you accept me as a member of your community. I want to be a member of your community, and I want to know that you want me as a member of your community. Thank you.
Lake County Clerk. It's a nonpartisan position, and Stacy Gainey will talk to us regarding that office.
Well, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Stacy Gainey. I was born and raised right here in Lake County. Never went anywhere, stayed put. I've worked for Lake County for the last 23 years, 16 of which has been as your county clerk. I really enjoy what I do, so I hope you will, as Sharon said, color in the oval even though I'm the only one there. It just shows your support for what we do. I would also like to just mention what Mrs. Crocker said. The ballots did go out in the mail today. You should be seeing them Thursday or Friday. If you're going to mail your ballot back, don't mail it any later than November 3rd, just to make certain. It should only take 1 stamp to return your ballot. Drop boxes will be available in my office and at the south entrance of the courthouse beginning tomorrow. And there will be drop boxes at the Paisley Community Center and Christmas Valley Community Center on Election Day. And if you have any questions, you can call us and we'll try to answer as best we can. Thank you.
Running for treasurer, nonpartisan position, unopposed, is Ann Crumrine.
Good evening. Thanks for coming out tonight. You're probably missing a very entertaining presidential debate, so maybe we can entertain you here too, or a great baseball game, so thank you for going in this direction. I am Ann Crumrine. I've been your county treasurer since 2008. I really enjoy my job, so please vote for me. I believe my personality, my education, and my experience all suit me well to be the manager of the county's financial assets. My teamwork mentality helps solve problems, whether it's problems facing the citizens that come before us, problems facing other elected officials and things they're trying to accomplish, or department heads and what they're accomplishing in their work as well. That helping attitude means I have been on the wellness committee trying to improve employee morale through wellness activities, improving their health. I think that's an important thing for us to work on. I've also helped with the roundup and the fair during a busy Labor Day weekend. It's kind of all hands on deck. Let's see if we can pull that event off. I was the grant manager for the Lake County Park and Rec Master Plan. Again, not related to treasurer duties, but something I feel is important to the citizens of Lake County, and I like to do anything I can to help out. I also was a committee member that drafted language for the newly formed Oregon Local Government Intermediate Fund Investment Pool. That was a statewide committee that has a new investment product for local governments to try and increase the return on our surplus funds. So it was a nice opportunity for me to learn about that investment pool and then also help write policy language so that local governments understand what they might be investing in and to protect those precious financial resources that we have. So again, I'm willing to help out in any way I can, not just those ORS treasurer duties, but just other things that come up as we all have to wear so many different hats. I think it's a really exciting time to be a Lake County citizen with the natural resource utilization that it's in the works, and I look forward to watching our county grow and prosper. Thank you for your support.
Thanks, Ann. And now we'll turn to the town of Lakeview. Again, this is nonpartisan, and we have two mayoral candidates. We will choose one. We'll begin with Ray Turner's introduction. Ray?
My name is Ray Turner. I've lived here all my life. I was born here. I graduated in 1973. My wife Marla and I got married in 1974. We have 3 great kids. I have 7 grandchildren. And I like to hunt, fish, go camping, do anything I can with my grandkids or other kids. I just like kids. I support them in every way I can. I've been a member of the volunteer fire department for 30 years. I was on the police reserves here for 23 years. And I was on the disaster unit for 13 years. And I've been a member of the Elks Lodge now for 30 years. I've been exalted ruler 3 times. I have worked on their budget committee for approximately 10 years. I am currently a trustee over there. And I love Lakeview. I've seen this community go from several sawmills down to 3, now we're down to 1. We've got to get businesses in here and industry. I've seen it when I grew up that every business uptown, all the buildings were full. Now look at it, most of them are empty. We've got to bring that back. We've got to get something going back into Lakeview before we lose it. And just remember, Lakeview is God's country. Support our kids.
The other candidate for mayor is Mike Warren. Mike?
Pull out my cheat sheet, that's what we do in radio. Good evening to everyone, and I'd like to first thank the AAUW, the Association of University Women for tonight's forum, hosting it, an opportunity for all of us to get to know the candidates whom we're going to be voting on in this very important election. The ballot includes a presidential race, but it also includes some very important local races as well, as you all know, right here where we live. And Lakeview voters are electing 2 councilors and a new mayor this year, and in 2 previous elections, you've elected me, Mike Warren, as your councilor to serve as the town's elected official. And these many years serving on the council, along with the opportunity to attend the League of Oregon Cities annual conference, has allowed me to receive some valuable training involving all facets of local government for councilors and mayors. And after 8 years as your town councilor, I'm, this election, asking for your vote and support as Lakeview mayor. And my run for Lakeview mayor, however, does come with not more power. I still have 1/5 of the vote, 20% of the vote. No matter how you look at it, it's all the council that makes the difference. We all vote as one. And there, of course, is a little vision that I have for Lakeview, and that is a vision of stable economic climate and a return, as many would say, to the robust vitality seen many times in our community's past. So that's not all. I've got some other things. Lakeview's strong in heritage, and Lakeview has much to build on. I'd ask that you join me in that, and there are other priorities I'd work to achieve as mayor. I'd like to see the expansion of our geothermal resources with uses to include services to more of Lakeview's citizens and businesses. And I'd also pledge to pursue the feasibility of a community events facility and improve our parks and recreational offerings. Deemed by the state of Oregon as a community with many tourist opportunities, I'd work on soliciting groups and organizations to hold rallies, gatherings, conferences, and functions in our town. And my continuing goal as your elected mayor will be to represent the citizens of Lakeview in all endeavors with every facet of county and state government, all for the betterment of the town of Lakeview. As always, I'll continue to listen to the concerns and interests of those in our community and seek to find resolutions. I ask that you please consider my qualifications and then vote Mike Warren, Lakeview Mayor.
And we have 2 town council positions, Tim Harris and Darwin Johnson. Darwin Johnson is unable to be here this evening, so Tim Harris.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for coming. You won't need the 2-minute thing because I'm going to make this short. I'm the town council. I came to Lake County 10 years ago as your state park ranger. Fell in love with the community. Right after that, I fell in love with my wife, and now I have 2 young sons. And because of that, I'm dedicated to improving this community for our young citizens. Too many people come to me and tell me that their children have to leave here to find a job. I'm going to do everything I can to solidify our community so that we have businesses here that will keep our youth in this community. Thank you.
And now we're going to turn to Judy Stewart, who is going to explain the Lake County ballot measure 1931. And again, I call your attention to the way the ballot measure is read, and it's on the handout that I gave you, okay? This is how it will appear on the ballot, okay? Judy. Judy is a past president of AAUW and past Oregon Extension agent that many of you will be familiar with. Judy.
Thank you, Lori. You don't need to butter me up. I'm gonna do it. Okay, we're gonna talk a little bit about legalization of marijuana in Lake County tonight and what it means for citizens both in town, incorporated areas, and unincorporated areas. I didn't know much about this when I began to research this, so I know I'm going to go over the 2 minutes, so just hang in there. We're going to learn a little bit, hopefully. When Measure 91 was passed in Oregon in 2014 to take effect in 2015, the state designated 2 jurisdictions, one for towns and one for counties. And at that time, the county decided they're going to ban recreational and medical sale of marijuana and related operations. And the town decided to go forward because, as I said, they're 2 separate entities. This is how the measure reads. 1931, legalization of marijuana-related businesses. Question. Approval of this measure would legalize medical and recreational marijuana sales and related operations in unincorporated areas of Lake County. Summary. County Ordinance 112 banned recreational and medical sales of marijuana and related operations in unincorporated areas of Lake County and referred the matter to public vote at the November 2016 general election. So our county had the option of putting that on the ballot, and many counties have decided to do that, to not put it on the ballot. They're just going to go forward with whatever they decide as a county without putting it up to the people again. But Lake County has generously said, people, what do you think about this? So we're going to have that on our ballot. A vote in favor of this measure would allow the following in unincorporated areas of Lake County: marijuana processing sites registered under Oregon law, medical marijuana dispensaries registered under Oregon law, marijuana producers licensed under Oregon law, marijuana processors licensed under Oregon law, marijuana wholesalers licensed under Oregon law, and marijuana retailers licensed under Oregon law. A vote against this measure would continue to ban the above activities in unincorporated areas of Lake County. Okay, what is an unincorporated area in Lake County? Paisley is an incorporated area. It's an incorporated city in Lake County, as well as Lakeview. We have annexed portions to Lakeview, and those are considered incorporated. So we're talking about Plush and Adel and Valley Falls and Summer Lake, Christmas Valley, Silver Lake, and Fort Rock, and all the areas in between are unincorporated. 62% of the voters did vote to oppose Measure 91 back in 2014. To date, if you want recreational marijuana, the sites aren't open yet, and they're not expected. I called on this today just to make sure, see if there were any open in Oregon that were strictly recreational use marijuana retail sites. I couldn't get anybody. So all I got was the information from the internet. OLCC, who's going to administer recreational marijuana, has a great site. You can find out just about anything you want to know about the application process, you know, what it costs, all those kinds of things if you want to go into the marijuana business. But anyway, here's what they say. Right now, medical marijuana dispensaries are selling recreational marijuana too. And 2 entities in Oregon oversee marijuana use. For medical marijuana, it's the Oregon Health Authority. For recreational use, it's the OLCC. So with this new law, OLCC, the Oregon Liquor Control Commission, is probably going to become a pretty large organization. So, but those are the 2 entities that govern what happens with marijuana in Oregon, whether it's medical marijuana or recreational. What amounts of marijuana are considered legal amounts for possession? You can have 4 plants in your household, not 4 plants apiece, 4 plants. 1 ounce on your person, 8 total ounces at home, 1 pound of edibles, including oils, and 72 ounces of liquid marijuana-infused beverages. Marijuana use is prohibited in public places. It's illegal on federal land, and we've got plenty of federal land, so use of marijuana is really, on federal land, you're up for a federal crime there. The state provided each county the opportunity to voice their opinion. Some counties chose not to include it. Lake County opted to include the measure again. Where are the unincorporated areas? We talked about that. The marijuana industry is highly regulated. If you want to see just how regulated this is going to be, just go to the OLCC website. Lots of regulations, how to get started. If you want to get started in the marijuana business for recreational use, an application for a retail or to be a producer requires a $250 application fee and an annual fee of $4,750 for sales outlets. Depending on the type and the size of your operation, growers are classified as Tier 1 or Tier 2 and pay annual fees to produce ranging from $3,750 to $5,750 per year. And it depends on how many plants and the square footage of your operation. It's, as I said, it was highly regulated. If you're going to produce it, you have to send your crop to a lab to see how much pesticide you've used, how much fertilizer you've used. And right now there's a tremendous backup in the state of Oregon because I think there's only 4 labs that test for fertilizer or pesticides on marijuana. So everybody's screaming about that. There was this one lady has a potential retail sales outlet there in Bend, and she has the whole warehouse full of marijuana candy. She doesn't know whether she can sell that or not because she can't get a lab to test her product or label it. It has to have a label. Okay. Tax revenue goes to a number of different places. Marijuana sales is going to be taxed at recreational sales. It already is taxed at medical marijuana. If you want to buy recreational marijuana currently at a medical marijuana site, there's a 25% tax. The retail outlets that are going to open have 17% tax, plus any tax that the city wants to add, up to 3%. Okay, first of all, The taxes that are received, the revenues, are going to go to administration by OLCC. Then 40% to the common school fund, 20% to drug and alcohol programs that deal with or are connected to marijuana use, 15% to the state police, 10% to city law enforcement, 10% to county law enforcement, and 5% to the Oregon Health Authority. Okay, if you vote yes, these are the pros of establishing production, and these aren't necessarily what I think are pros, but in doing research, this is what people have said about a yes vote. Increases economic development opportunities for licensed marijuana facilities in unincorporated. So if somebody in Lakeview has this, why shouldn't Silver Lake have this? Increased agricultural revenue through production. Ag producers are going to be taxed on their income instead of at the site. Additional tax revenue for Lake County for schools, drug and alcohol programs, and law enforcement. A yes vote would expand medical use benefit to those previously without cards, allows purchase to test the benefit of the drug, broadens availability. Job opportunities will expand from record keeping and monitoring, ag sales such as fertilizer and pesticides and seed, processing jobs, ag production jobs, and transportation jobs. Legalization will lessen black market drug activities in unincorporated areas. Increased revenues will have a trickle-down effect to improve other businesses. Making money allows spending more money. Land values will increase along with the standard of living. This is new opportunity for Lake County in the climate of slow economic growth. Prohibition led to black market production back in the 20s. Mob involvement and other unlawful activity. Voting yes on this measure would eliminate these historically proven consequences. Regulation is well thought out for effective and necessary management of products which are now legal in Oregon. Okay, a no vote. Hang with me here. There's only a few more of these. Increased availability of product will be harmful to public safety in our large, isolated county. Law enforcement coverage is stretched thin now. And the enormity of regulation exists across Oregon currently. More complex regulation and monitoring required in expansion of marijuana business establishment. OLCC will expand exponentially from small agency to a very large one. A change in the culture of Lake County is inevitable with this type of business expansion. And as we go to mark that box or not, whether yes or no, consider whether this is advancement or what kind of, how you would define the change yourself, positive or negative. It's certainly going to change the perception of agriculture if this goes forward in our unincorporated areas. The formula for tax revenue distribution is based on number of licensed sites. Tax advantage and benefit is uncertain. By the time OLCC gets their administrative fee, there might not be much left. Also, the distribution of those revenues are based on the number of sites in a county or jurisdiction. So if we don't have very many sites, we're not going to get that much tax revenue back to the community. It depends on what, it's an unknown at this time. Product safety. At this time, only 4 labs exist in Oregon that test for pesticides and fertilizer on marijuana. Businesses have products sitting in warehouses waiting for testing and labeling. What standards exist for marketing and packaging that are not aimed at influencing youth to use? And all the OLCC has to say on that is that discretion shall be used in packaging. Prudency, that was the word. Okay. No restrictions, there are some social aspects to this. No restrictions exist for placement of operations in troubled areas. Areas of extreme poverty exist in some of our unincorporated areas of Lake County. In addition to inadequate means, family dysfunction is evident in police reports, social service workload, and the courts. Legalization in unincorporated places will not be in the best interest of people living in these areas. This measure, if passed, creates availability of a mind-altering substance that exceeds black market availability. The brain is not fully developed until age 25. Marijuana has been proven to impact brain development, contribute to schizophrenia and other mental disorders, contribute to disease caused by secondhand smoke, and impact the unborn fetus. This business is costly and speculative in nature. So however you decide to vote, no matter if you're voting for a candidate, just remember to be very careful how you do that. I think everybody in this room realizes that we live in uncertain times, so everybody think about that. And look things up on the web. There's a lot of, if you're really uncertain how you're going to vote for that, look it up on the web. OLCC has a great site. Even OPB has great information on legalization of marijuana and what the rules will be. There are medical websites, and you can also talk to Lake County Commissioners and the Planning Department. Information probably at the library, our medical professionals, and the town of Lakeview. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Judy. And at this time, we're going to take a 15-minute break. Turn in your cards to the ladies out in the hall for the AAUW, and then we'll reconvene and people will answer questions. So enjoy the goodies. All right. Thanks.
How you been doing? Pretty good. I guess they had a meeting, but I didn't know. Oh, yeah. He didn't miss too much. In fact, it was just to say and don't get intimidated. Yeah, and John was like, oh, was he?
Well, I learned stuff came from him. Nobody gets to see it.
I think it actually looks worse than it is. Yeah, it's the antibuildings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Would you like a cupcake? Yes. Pain in there either. He was on sensible, you
What's the plan? I am cat quick. I'm cat quick. How are you? I don't know. Very good. I think they were. It sounds like the red routes. I think they're fully committed. And the natural gas that they bring in can be used for other industries as well. Yeah.
Got some good music on.
I'll take it to the geothermal goal. Yeah, they'll be a fist fight over that. I know, right? I need oh, yeah. I don't feel bad. It's not really like there was a split in the company, and so some of them are still working on that, and a couple of them are working on another one here. People have selective memories. Yeah. I honestly haven't heard much outside of that, but that same group is supporting that position. just like $1,000, but yeah, they put they want to put this community they're going for it, so they're yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, but it sounds like they're still, and they're still interested in the community. It's not like they run off.
Yeah, that's
He's shy. So, my understanding comes from University Board. But, so, LCP paid University Board in to bring me here. And so the LCP raised money for Ford Family Foundation, the Rotary, for Sir Optimus, the town, from a couple other organizations around the community to bring me. So it's really the community that paid for yeah. I hadn't heard each other enough to hear. Is it just a regular Catholic style? Yeah. That's what's interesting with me, doesn't mean what was going on with that's the crazy one. Absolutely nothing. Honestly, I've never seen a DA manage to do it because it's such a systemic issue. There's so many pieces.
That's what seems to be happening. It's
Haven't changed anything, no?
And so I participated in that from January to July. And so I did my goals
And I think a lot of them will lose a little bit of leadership probably.
yeah, that's what
But that's no fun for me.
we changed our, we drastically changed our eating.
I stopped by the last
Yeah,
Now you make me feel really bad. Should have given all the way to like push
Okay, I'd like to start in about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes if I can have the candidates come back, please. Come back, wherever you are. I know we're meeting and greeting. Don't forget about the campaign literature in the back. There's some marvelous cupcakes and everything back there. It's great. So I need to have all of the candidates come back. Oh no, not that. Okay, I'd like to begin in about 30 seconds. If that's okay. Jimmy, are you ready? Thank you. Is that okay, huh? All right. Okay, welcome back. When we do the question and answer sessions, remember these are 1-minute responses. And if you have an issue with the answer or something, I always say contact the candidate personally, and they will expand on that question for you. Stacy had to go because her husband had had surgery, and anyway, there are two questions for her. And one of them, I feel comfortable answering. Will the Lake County residents vote on the marijuana measure or only those in unincorporated areas? It is on everybody's ballot. So everybody will vote on that. So I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I can answer that. There's somebody else that wrote a question to her. And if you would be so kind, I will leave the card here. If you would put your phone number on it, I will have her call you tomorrow. She said she would be happy to do that if there was a question for her. So whoever wrote this one to Stacy, if you would be so kind to identify yourself with a number, she will call you tomorrow with the answer. So I'll put it right here. Thank you. Okay. Now, Ann, you have one question, Ann. It says, to Ann, the Lake County Treasurer, can you give us an accurate accounting of where $42 million Lake County budget really gets spent?
In a minute, I can say yes, I can give you an accurate accounting of how $42 million, and actually it's not $42 million. We have, whether it's reserve balances or contingency or unappropriated ending fund balances, we actually only spend somewhere in the neighborhood of about 14 to 15 million a year. But yes, we do have an accurate accounting of where that is spent.
And they can go to your office, right?
Oh, yes, please.
Come in.
Budget is actually available online. You
That's
can actually
right.
look at every fund's budget on our Lake County website. You will see prior year actual dollars spent on that budget. So it's available.
Thank you. Will you give Ann a big hand, please? We appreciate you doing that. Now I'm just going to take the, I've lost my my little blurb here, but I'll go, these are for the county commissioner candidates. So if I could have you guys just stand right here, and we'll go one and then the other, because you have several that are combined. There are nasty messes in North Lake and South Lake, Lakeview. They are health hazards and fire hazards, and difficult for neighbors. Will you, as a commissioner, take these on instead of requiring a neighbor to risk turning in their neighbor? They need cleaned up. Yes, you go first, and then Brad come in.
Yes, that's one of the issues that I have with the current process, is it seems to pit neighbors against neighbors. So we can all drive by and see some of these messes, some of which are on county property. And people have complained in writing, their name gets out, and I know some instances where there's been vandalism afterward. So the process needs to change in some way, so that you don't want to take away the current process, but also we should have some kind of an anonymous process, so you don't have to pit neighbor against neighbor.
Okay, same question, Brad.
Yes, I support cleaning up these nuisance and these code enforcement issues. The county has set dollars aside this year to hire a nuisance/code enforcement person. We've had work sessions on this. The Board of Commissioners as a whole are brainstorming on this, on which department to put it in. And yes, we're going to be addressing this. It is unacceptable. It also is policed by the neighbors, as we say right now. Yes, the neighbors can file a complaint. You don't have to be the neighbor to file a complaint with the process that we have now. Anybody within the county can file a complaint on a nuisance issue or code enforcement issue. It is not the best way to do it right now, but that's what we have. We're budgeted, we're moving forward, and yes, we will have nuisance/code enforcement in the near future. As we're adding capacity through the budgeting time and everything, you have to be able to add these capacities as dollars are available. You have to put some dollars there for that.
All right, next question for both of you. I can read the writing. All right. Federal funding for county roads has been lost. Reserves and gas taxes cap, not paying the cost to continue service at the current level. What is the short 3 to 5 year and long-term solution? Brad, we'll start with you.
This we could talk about all night long. The 16 years ago when I came on, secure rules in schools came, replacing the timber receipts. That was about $3.5 million to our road department. Last year was the last year we was going to get it. It's down to $1.5 million. We're down to about 14 employees at the road department. When I worked there, we were ranged from 42 to 35 employees. Right now, there is no guarantee and no absolute way to gain funds. What we're doing over the last 4 years, we've been able to take some of the PIL payment because you can only put federal dollars into the road department. We've been very frugal and we put $250,000 each year into the road department, $250,000 each year. That's only equal to about 25 miles of preservation on chip seal. Long range, we're looking at the gas and registration tax, which we get about between $600,000 and $700,000 a year at the state level. We continue to promote, and through AOC promote for different distribution of that. And we will always lobby our federal congressman and senator to fully pay and fair and equitable payments into Lake County for the lands that are here. Thank you.
Gotta be honest, I don't have a specific solution to that complicated problem. As Brad just laid it out, it is a complicated problem. I really don't like the idea of being dependent on other agencies and having to beg. I understand there is an issue with the money from the state and how it's allocated according to population, not according to the mileage of the roads that actually have to be maintained. And that seems to me to be just wrong. So that's an issue that I think needs to be addressed.
Okay, Bruce, is Lake County responsible for fixing the very uneven asphalt at the railroad crossing near PP&L on South 3rd Street?
I don't know.
In Lake County, we do own the railroad, and yes, there is responsibility to come with that railroad. We have at least a Lake Rail, Frontier Rail right now. It is within their responsibility to take up all of the operation of the rail line. They do need to step up. They need to do some improvements. If you noticed, if you look at 4th Street, it has new cement there. It's been improved. You look up by the mill, it's been improved. It's a matter of as the dollars available. And yes, it is the responsibility of the people that the county have under lease agreement.
Thank you, because I live there. Okay, Brad, we'll start with you. I'm very concerned about the area south of 9th Street. I believe it to be in the county. The new Head Start building is on South 10th Street. One street over is a quote compound with an old mobile home, rundown camp trailers, junker cars, and tall weeds. Do you share my concerns, and what, as a commissioner, can you do to clean up the south end of town?
Thank you. I like this question. Head Start, I was instrumental in them acquiring the land where they put in the building. It was county foreclosed lands, just a sidebar on that. The mess down there, unacceptable. I've toured it with the process that we have now with our person that's in charge of sending out the letters. That person's been directed to send out that letter. After we get through that process, the next process would be for the county to go in there and clean it up and for it to be lien against that property. Totally unacceptable, but what's going on there?
Not sure I could say that much better. It is unacceptable. My only question or issue with it is a lot of these things have gone on for a long time. And I mentioned earlier defining the problem. That's really important. Some of these code violations, they have different aspects to the problem. If something is a safety hazard, it's a hazard to children in the area or to neighbors, that's a big issue. If it's junk cars in front of somebody's house and it's on the highway and it's visible to everybody else, it's a little bit different. If that same property is 10 miles out in the middle of the desert and nobody can see it, that's different still. So you can't just have, I think, a one-size-fits-all solution to complicated problems like that.
Okay, Bruce, we'll start with you. Will you as a commissioner work to secure a position for an animal control officer?
That's an important issue. A lot of you probably know that my wife is very involved in the Humane Society, and it's been an issue for years. We've got some properties near us that there's hoarders and of animals, and it's a big issue. On the other hand, while I totally support that position personally, we need to enforce that. It's a question of priorities. There's too many things, too many other problems. I'm not sure that's the top priority. It's an important one. I'm not sure that it's that priority equal to code enforcement, for instance, where there's safety hazards. And again, personally, it's just horrible what I've seen some of these animals, and again, we're quite close to where I live. But we've got to set priorities. There isn't enough money to do everything.
Yes, I support and am dedicated to working towards having animal control. I believe it could be a joint venture with the town of Lakeview. The Board of Commissioners, our budget committee over the years, this last year we put a little bit more money into our sheriff's side, which they're stepping up some on animal control. That is not their #1 priority. We have some very bad dogs that run loose on different parts of Lake County, and we need to get that under control. And yes, I will continue to look at ways to try to fund that position. It could be a joint position, possibly, not guaranteed, with the town, or it could be a joint position with code/nuisance enforcement. Maybe not at the first, but as the nuisance and the code enforcement starts getting narrowed down, maybe it could be a dual position at that time.
Okay, Brad, this is for both of you. What will you do to stand up to the organized crime that controls Lake County, the Sheriff's Department, the DA, and the court?
First, bring me factual information that there's organized crime that's running that, because it's not happening that way. We have probably some of the best law enforcement in Lake County. There is laws and there's rules and there's many different things that govern the way that we operate. This is ridiculous because we are not governed by any outside organization. We do a very good job.
I think it's pretty obvious to all of us that we've got organized criminals in office at various levels in government. I don't think there's any here, and I stand with Brad. I think, well said, we've got good people, good law enforcement, and we need to support them.
And Bruce, what do you feel is the role of the Lake County Commissioner?
I got 1 minute. As part of educating myself for this position, I've been looking into a lot of things like that. There is information in the state about what are the requirements and the duties of a commission as a whole. If there is such a thing, it's actually almost like a position description for and commissioners, here in Lake County. I haven't seen it, and I've asked a couple of people, so I'm not sure that that exists. I think there are three. I thought about the issue. I don't have my notes on that, but there are three duties. One is as new issues come up. Well, two things. You have to know and learn what the people want, what direction they want to go, what their position is. You may agree with it sometimes, you may not, but you have an obligation to learn. As new issues come up, you have to educate yourself, because other people, normal people, have jobs, they have lives, they have families, they have other commitments. They don't have the time to dig into all of these issues. So a commissioner has an obligation to learn and to represent those issues either for or against and present those positions to the public. There's others, two more, no time.
Thank you. Policymakers, that's what the Board of Commissioners are. They set policy. They set ordinance. That's local law. That is what our duties are. We adopt the budget. We are the governing body that takes care of your taxpayer dollars. We're the ones that put it on the ground and use it for the best services for the community. That's what you vote us in for, is to take care of your dollars. We work for each and every one of you. You're our boss. I have an open door policy. Come in and talk to me. I work very hard at bringing good ideas, good things to the Board of Commissioners, because as a single commissioner, you really don't have any authority. All of our decisions are made during a public meeting process. I've been involved in reorganization of some Lakeview departments. I have saved the county dollars that way, but there's many roles that the commissioner does that's beyond the normal everyday work. But policymaker, lawmaker, and you are by ORS adopt the budget, and manage that budget, along with the help from the budget officer.
Okay, thank you, and we'll continue. Brad, you can rest for a minute, and Bruce will just fire yours off, okay? Thanks, give them You have said you are going to change the way the sheriff's office and search and rescue is going to do business. Please explain.
I don't remember saying that. So I've been in search and rescue for a long time, and there are some issues. It was better organized a couple of years ago than it is now. We had committees within search and rescue that were assigned duties. For example, there were some folks who, I have to admit, like me, are too old to go out tramping around in the woods in the middle of the night. I've been there, done that. But you get to a point where you still want to participate, but you can't physically do some of those things. So there was, for example, the headquarters committee. They were responsible for, during a search, for being at the headquarters building, managing communications to the folks to and from the folks out in the field, keeping records of who was out and where they were, and checking them in and out so we didn't lose one of the searchers. So I'm not totally happy with the way things are, but I don't recall ever saying that. On the other hand, I'm old, so maybe I forgot.
It has been said that if elected, you and Ken Keshner plan to run off the other commissioner, Dan Schown. Do you even know him or anything about him?
Where'd that come from? No, I'm not running anybody off. As Brad correctly said, there isn't a supreme commissioner there. They do rotate the duties of who kind of runs the meetings. No intention of doing that. I don't know Dan very well. I don't know what his plans are for the future, but no, that's absolutely untrue.
You have mentioned several times that you don't like to step up and network in social situations, but that's how you make connections in Salem and so forth, and that gets things done. How are you going to develop this required relationship in Salem?
That one I have said. As I've said many times, I'm not a politician. I've never done anything like this. I've never run for office. I can do public speaking in my sleep, frequently do. I've given lectures at universities. I've testified, I've been asked to testify in Congress. I've dealt with people at all levels of government. And so what I'm uncomfortable with, and you haven't seen me do this, is walk up to people and say, hi, I'm wonderful, I walk on water, vote for me. I can't do that. I just can't make myself do that. Fortunately, I've had some folks who have helped me, they're doing that for me. But that one's true.
Okay. Thank you. You advocate that you are going to reverse the downward trend in county population and job loss. Do you not realize that our current population is the highest ever, and our unemployment rate is lower than it has been in years?
If that's correct, I'm mistaken. I know one of the issues, because I've heard from a number of people, that is loss of youth. That having children go away to college and not come back because there's no jobs here, no jobs for them. There's not a really booming economy. The economy, I have learned, I did not know this, it's very different in the north and the south ends of the county. The sources of income are different. The relative prosperity is different, so it's not so much of a problem there. Reversing a downward trend in population, I don't know how you would actually do that. The real issue that I was referring to, and maybe I misspoke when I said this, is that loss of youth. Somebody said once, he actually in the room, and I'm not going to embarrass him, that one of the biggest exports products of Lake County is youth, and that's something that needs to be stopped.
I read in the paper that you are still with NASA and have taken on a couple of new projects. With that, I'm wondering how you plan on being an effective commissioner, as it is also a full-time job.
I'm not aware that I've taken on any new full-time projects. I am still employed with NASA. In fact, I was down in the San Francisco Bay Area at a NASA meeting all day yesterday. I left in the evening to start home, and I just got home early afternoon. Obviously, I can't continue to do that and to continue this job if I am elected. I obviously also am not going to quit that job, which I've done for nearly 50 years. I work in the aerospace industry at NASA, and I enjoy it, and I'm not going to quit until I know what the future is going to bring.
Thank you. Have you explained to the voters that if elected, you plan to continue with your outside interests and only work part-time in your commissioner job? That you intend to create a new county administrator position to take care of county day-to-day business while you are away from county office most days? Have you explained the cost for this new position at over $100,000 a year?
That is certainly an extrapolation of things that I've said. I think one of the things that we need to look at, because resources available to fund necessary county activities are not increasing. And we've already heard about the road issues, the need perhaps for animal control, the definite need for some method of enforcing ordinances. I think we need to look really hard at the way the county is organized, the government is organized and managed. But other than that, I don't have any answers for that. It's an issue that needs to be looked at. I believe that very strongly. What the correct answer is, I do not know. I have not advocated for this.
Okay, you have 3 more questions, and I appreciate your perseverance. Are you aware that with the new Red Rock Company, natural gas is planned for being brought into the community, allowing for significant plant expansion at Cornerstone and many new jobs, 100 plus? It seems everything you say you will do is already being done with Commissioner Winter's leadership.
It is already being done. Although, as I understand, and maybe I will be corrected, is there is not a plan and there's not funding to bring it into town yet. That's a substantial investment, and if that money is in place, I am not aware of it. But yes, Commissioner Winters and the other commissioners have done a good job on that, and I applaud them.
How many commissioner meetings have you attended?
2 maybe. Frankly, right now, it's not my job. I don't have the time. I've done my best to educate myself. I've talked to some of the people here in this room. I've been all over the county talking to people. I don't have the time to go to all the commissioner meetings now. I don't have the job.
Okay. How much of the recent county budget process did you sit in on? Do you feel you have a clear understanding of this budget?
A detailed understanding, no. An understanding of the bigger picture issues, yes, I believe I do. And I think, as again, Brad said correctly, it's a changing picture. The sources that were depended on for a long time are going away. New sources are not in place yet. And yet, essentially, there's a real business here to run, which is the county government and the needs of the people in Lake County. So where's that money going to come from? And I think that's the biggest issue. No, I'm not familiar with all the details. That's about it.
Thank you so much. Would you give Bruce a round of applause? We have some questions for Brad Winters. Can you please explain why no law enforcement investigation was conducted in the embezzlement of thousands of dollars by the road county department, and why it has been hidden to the public? We have a right to know.
Whoever wrote this question, come talk to me, because there has not been no embezzlement of any dollars that I'm aware of. If you have facts and you have proof, bring it forward. Our road department operates very well, and there is no indication of that. Thank you.
Okay. You went on an elk hunting trip to Colorado where you shot a spiked elk in a 4-point or better area. Did you pay for the trip and not Todd Gregory, and would you be willing to prove it through financial records? If Todd Gregory paid for the trip, what was promised to him for you to enjoy a vacation at that company's expense?
Absolutely. I went to Colorado. It cost me $600 for the tag, which I paid out of my own pocket. Me and 3 other people, my son and 2 other guys, put $300 apiece in the jockey box, and we traveled there on that money and came back with money in the jockey box. Todd Gregory is a developer for solar here. He has not contributed any money to me. I would never do nothing that would be against ethics. So no, I did not accept any money, and he did not pay for it. As far as me shooting a spike in the 4-point area, absolutely I did. And absolutely I paid $1,500 for that, and I did not get any of the meat. And furthermore, that's the first ticket I've had in my life, and it was a violation. And boy, I wished I had that $1,500. So whoever asked the question, sometimes it's hard
hard for the moderator to read the questions. Okay, Brad. Lake County website has some departments within the courthouse showing their mission statement. This shows now how they do their department work for the county, which is great management tools. However, under legal counsel is a website for Bailey and your law office. Is this how office is this law office paying the county for advertising their company on the website? Answer yes or no.
No, they are not paying for their advertisement on the website. We do contract with Bailey out of the Bend area, and yes, he is on our website as our legal counsel. It is not any advertisement for his business. We contract with him, it's all right there in all of our records and everything, and no, we don't advertise for his private practice.
The continuation of that question is, if yes, there was a question, but if no, why has this practice been allowed to continue? Is it ethical or legal to allow contractors free usage of the county website for advertising tool? Answer yes or no. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
I'm going to have to look at his part on the website. No, it is not used for advertisement. That's what I can say. And if you take it as advertisement, that is not the way it's supposed to be directed. So our website is a very good website. Go to it, look at it. Let's talk about it. Bring it forward. Let's look at that website.
Okay, now they'd like for you to explain this. After the 2006-2009 railroad lease with the MoDOT Northern Railroad, you were at a total loss what to do. So Commissioners Kessner and Schown assumed mutual liaison. Yet you proclaimed you were instrumental in getting the current lease with the railroad. Since county's management with current Lake Railway, you have consistently failed to mention the prior... Thank you. The prior critical phone calls by Commissioner Kessner to Union Pacific headquarters in Omaha, Nebraska, and to the Union Pacific Northwest manager that paved the way for the current railroad lease. Please explain.
Sure, no problem whatsoever. I have been very instrumental in Lake Railway becoming an operator. Just before Commissioner Kessner and Commissioner Schown came on, we were in dire needs. MoDOT Northern was in default. There were many things that were going on. Through myself, through John Miller, EP, and through Paul DeDelia, we put together a haulage agreement, which is the first step before you can go into a lease agreement. That haulage agreement was put into place with my help, our legal counsel's help, the Board of Commissioners. As soon as Commissioner Kessner and Commissioner Schown came on, that's one of the first things they done was to enter into that haulage agreement as a Board of Commissioners. This isn't factual. This is completely wrong. Just today, I had meetings with the local shippers with the railroad. Whenever it was changed to liaison, it wasn't changed from one person, it was changed to the board of three. Keep in mind, being liaison doesn't mean you're the boss of that department. All liaison is for that department head or that elected official to come to you and talk to you about issues. All decisions are made by a board of commissioners, not an individual.
Okay. Now, the next two are interrelated, and then you can rest for a while. Please share with us your accomplishments over the past 15 years to enhance our quality of life and promote our young kids' educations and well-being to our future community leaders. And what are you most proud of that you are currently working on?
I have to apologize, I only heard part of that.
I have to apologize because I have an emergency phone.
You know, we have a rule that if your phone goes off during a meeting, you have to buy donuts for it. Projects I'm currently working on, the most proud of, most proud of. It can be so many. One of the things that might not be big to a lot of people I'm very proud of was the SMEET Museum. I mentioned that. That was for our local history, for me to step in as that had been in turmoil for quite some time, and for the local ladies to come to me and put the faith in me, and for me to be able to negotiate that with the state DER ladies and bring that forward for a cost of $1 to the Board of Commissioners. I used a Lake County buck from our chamber board from back in 1957, I think, to pay for that. With that came about $80,000 of improvements and operational funds. Very proud of that. I'm very, very proud of curve corrections that have been taken care of on Highway 140 East, where there has been some deaths in the past, for help leverage and build and bring the people to the table. It's not me individually, but it's bringing the team together to be able to address those, pushing hard at several different levels. That's just a couple of the many things, and I can't even get through all the questions. There's so many things. I will continue to work hard. I will continue to bring good ideas forward. I will continue to fight for support from the board to bring good projects forward. Reorganization of some county departments I'm very proud of. Very proud of our employees.
Thank you so much. Would you give him a round of applause? I'm glad to have this here because it has disappeared. Sharon Forrester, on the ballot for district attorney. I previously lived in a central California county that had legalized marijuana. The law enforcement agencies could not keep up with the increased crime that resulted from these legal growing operations. I believe that Lake County's relative isolation, coupled with our proximity to California, will provide an opportunity for the drug cartels to gain a foothold in our community while hiding behind a veil of legal marijuana cultivation. How will you work with our local law enforcement agencies to ensure that they have the resources and the need to combat a potential increase in crime?
Fortunately, we do have a new drug team that is working over in Klamath County that has just been put together that we are going to be able to utilize to work with us. Resources are always going to be a problem, and we are going to be limited by those resources. There's nothing we can do about that. Whatever we are going to be allocated by the commissioners is what we're going to have. We can apply for grants. Money is limited, and we are going to be limited by that. Again, we do have, I've talked to the new drug team that has been put in effect in Klamath County. They have agreed to work with us. If we can identify a hot spot that we have, they have agreed to come over here and work with us. We're very fortunate that we're going to have that resource available to us. And I look forward to working with them. I've had several meetings with them about that. But resources, we can't make money. That's all I can say. We don't have a money tree. There is no great answer for that.
How will the DA's office reduce child abuse in Lake County?
I'm going to apply it the same way that we did it over in Klamath County. I'm going to bring the same tactics that I used there. They have not been being used here. We have the CARES team. We have a great community effort over there with MDT. MDT is a community partnership that involves the Sheriff's Office, the Oregon State Police, the City Police, DHS, Child Welfare, Parole and Probation. They meet once a month. We review cases. And reducing child abuse is going to take a community effort. It takes prosecution. And I'm going to be there to do that. I have dedicated my entire career, ladies and gentlemen, to child abuse, physical abuse, sex abuse, and I'm not going to stop. That was one of the main reasons that brought me here, was because they came to me and told me that it wasn't being done here. And I've been here since March, and I've watched the cases that have came through the district attorney's office, the cases that have come through MDT, and they're holding them for me and waiting for me to take office so they can be done. And I'm looking forward to doing that.
Sharon, how do you feel about alternatives to incarceration for drug crimes, such as counseling, community service, and so forth?
I have spent the last, I want to say 3 or 4 months attending the treatment court that we have here. I go and I sit at treatment court, And so that is, they have a lot of people in there that are doing that as an alternative to going to prison. I am in favor to giving people a second chance. I believe that people deserve a second chance. But I also believe that they don't deserve a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, a seventh. That's got to stop. They need to learn that you're given a second chance. And if you're not going to commit to the program, then we're going to impose that sentence that we promised you we were going to do. You made a contract, you made an agreement. You made an agreement that I want to change. I want to stop doing drugs, and I want you to help us. We're going to help you with our resources. And we're going to put those resources behind you to give you a better life, and give your children a better life. If you're not going to put forth the effort, then you're going to go up north. And they can put forth the effort in you. We only have a limited amount of resources here in the county. And when you don't commit, then we will commit to enforce that contract that you agreed to, and that means you're going to prison. So I believe in second chances, but not 10 chances.
How can the DA's office increase officer safety?
I don't know who wrote this question, especially on a day like today. We are going, I hope, to take what happened in Modoc County to heart today. And I hope that we are going to find some trainings for our officers. And we're going to look at what happened down there and see if there's something we can do to look at our programs and make sure that we've got them polished as best as we can to protect our officers. I haven't looked at officer safety. I haven't taken that yet, but I will do everything I can to make sure that our officers are attending every training that they can and that they are protected. What happened down there should have never happened. I want to make sure that our officers have every opportunity to have every training and every equipment that they need. And I will be standing in front of the commissioners at budget time to make sure we're all protected and we have everything we need to make sure we're safe. We owe that to them.
Will you be assigning law enforcement to stop local bars and stop people that are driving under the influence and prosecute .02, .03, .04 DUI drivers like Dave Scott did? How many DUI cases have you prosecuted in your career?
Okay. I have been answering these questions since I came to town in March. I don't know where this comes from. I am not Dave Scott. I want to say that I've prosecuted one DUI in my entire career. One. It was on a rape and kidnap case where the guy had raped a woman and kept her hostage for 3 days. And when we stopped him, he was drunk. So it was like count 22 in a big long list. I've never done a DUI. Somebody's going to have to teach me how to do a DUI. So that's how familiar I am with DUI cases. So I got this label somewhere as Scud in a skirt. And it has filtered through this community. .02, .03, .04 DUIs. People can have a drink, ladies and gentlemen, and go in a bar and enjoy a drink with their dinner. And I don't direct these guys as to what they do. They don't work for me. I prosecute what they bring me, and .08 is the limit. And once you pass the .08 limit, then it comes to my desk. And if you're at a .06 and you're doing drugs, that's a different story. But people that have one cocktail and drive home, that's not going to be on the priority list. That's not what we do. We're not out there to put people out of business. And I don't know where this came from, but that's not what we do. That's just not what we do.
In researching Mr. Forrest Glass, I see he has been suspended from the Oregon State Bar on more than one occasion for misconduct. have you ever had any disciplinary matters before the bar? Now, there are 2 questions on this about write-in candidates. And so Sharon can have extra time if she needs to. But this individual happens to be running as a write-in candidate. Okay, same thing.
So I am aware that Foster Glass has been suspended from the Oregon State Bar for misconduct on 2 different occasions. The one is in the Mid Bulletin, and I have researched it. The judge in Deschutes County reported him to the bar. They did an investigation, and he was suspended for misconduct in the courtrooms in Deschutes. The other one was for a number of violations that were misconduct, lying to the bar, there are all kinds of things, and you can see them online. I'm not going to go into them, it has nothing to do with me. What I can tell you is that the bar is very lenient and is very patient with members of the bar. I've seen people get felony convictions and never get suspended. There was a guy in Klamath, you guys may have heard about, that held a gun to somebody's head and threatened to kill them, did not get suspended. I have never, in my entire career, had any disciplinary matters. I have a stellar record with the bar. I'm very proud of that. And I have done many,
You're gonna want to
many
get your facts
cases.
straight, not misconduct.
Will you sit down, please?
Wow.
This is our forum, and this is her time. So thank you very much, and I appreciate everybody being here. Okay, we'll move on, Sharon. What is your current relationship with Klamath County?
My current relationship with Klamath County, I have an excellent relationship with Klamath County. The DA in Klamath County, Rob Hatridge, I talk to him probably on a weekly basis. He is endorsing me, as happened before. The primary, he endorsed me. As many of you know, when we came into this room before in the primary, there was some propaganda in here about my relationship with Klamath County that was spread everywhere. You'll find now on the back table that was the Lake County Examiner published an article on the front page that recanted all of that and said that it was all false and misleading. That article is on the back page. I have a phenomenal relationship with them. In fact, they have offered to send their staff here when I take office, the office manager from the DA's office and their staff to help with the transition. I've talked to Marla in the DA's office and with Euless to help with the computer stuff, to help them with some new stuff that they're doing in Klamath. So that is my relationship with them. I've been approved by the commissioners to ride with their deputies. So all of that stuff that you guys were told before has been explained back there. I have a phenomenal relationship with Klamath County. We are friends. I'm in the DA's office probably once a week. Every time I go to Klamath, because they're going to help with the transition and help the office to change as to what I did over there to facilitate that change.
Thanks. Since it is a proven fact that no truth and no law are allowed in Lake County Circuit Court, how do we ever get justice?
No truth and no law. I don't really know how to answer this. Truth and law will be allowed in the Lake County Court. It will be, and we will have justice in this court. I promise you that. And I look forward to it. I can't wait to get started.
You have 2 more questions. With the current negative tension in the DA's office, not working together with any community partners, how are you going to foster a positive relationship that seeks to have real, that's been destroyed due to the current DA's attitude? That's community partners.
I I've already started to do that. I think I have a great relationship with the Sheriff's Office. I think that with the parole and probation, we talk a lot. We've been meeting with the court system, with the city police, with the state troopers. I've been out. I've already started doing ride-alongs with them to get to know their deputies. I've been out a couple of times till midnight, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning to get to know what's going on out there. And that's what it means. It's getting to know each other and getting to know what we expect of each other. And it's gonna take time. It's not gonna happen overnight. They don't know me. I don't know them. I don't know what they need. It's gonna be a give and take. And, but we are gonna do it. We are gonna do this, and we're gonna make this work. I had such a great relationship in Klamath, and it worked, and it worked well. We worked like a well-oiled machine, and we will be adhered to it, and I can't wait.
The final question is, for you is, do you have anything to add to what you have done to prepare to take office as Lake County DA?
Again, I have met with Euless on a couple of different occasions. I've been in his office. He has been very gracious meeting with me. I have met with Marla, and we have talked about, he has set aside the last week of December, a couple of days to go over files with me. We've talked about some other files. I've met with Marla. I've talked with Klamath County about them coming over. They've agreed to come over for a couple of weeks, which means that it won't cost anything for us to bring anybody in on the computer system. They've agreed to do that for free. And I have been sitting in court, in treatment court, in DHS court. I come on a regular basis to get myself familiar with who the people are, who the kids are. Jeanette Grant and Charlie Tracy have asked me to do that. I've been doing that quite a bit. Trying to just familiarize myself with what goes on what days. And so that's a start. It kind of gives me a jump on who's who and who knows who. So yeah, we're getting there. And I look forward to it. And again, I'm going to ask you the closing statement. There's no more questions, right? Just remember, you've got to mark that ballot to get me there and circle in that dot. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Nobody ever said these questions were easy. And so right now, I have 2 cards that are for the county commissioners and the mayor, and then the town council. So what I'd like to do is do the county commissioner and mayor first, and then, so if I can have you guys line up behind me. All right, because you all have to answer the same one. All right? And first you're right here, so you'll be Johnny on the spot. With the pipeline south of Lakeview and the solar panel project coming along, Stock Drive, how would you as a candidate ensure Lakeview and Lake County benefits from these endeavors?
I think probably the best answer is the contracts that are in place. I've asked folks about that. You know, what are the benefits? So what's the revenue flow from the solar plants, for instance? There's a fee for that's supposed to be paid per megawatt, but there's different ways to define megawatt. And I asked the question, okay, how is that defined? I didn't get an answer. So I think that's one of the things, probably the most important thing, is to make sure that contracts, both now and in the future, have the appropriate benefits actually written into the contract. And also, another issue that I've learned about is there's contracts in place where there are no penalties if you don't comply. So if the organization or company or whatever it is doesn't actually comply with the terms of the contract, well, they just kind of walk away. At least that's what I've been told. So those are the things I think to do. Pay more attention to the contracts.
It's a 2-part question here, pipeline and solar. Solar's very easy, pipeline's very easy. Taxation, that's the benefit to our communities. The solar project, there was legislation passed that's called the pilot program, payment in lieu of taxes. By the label on the solar panels, you get paid by megawatt. It's $7,000 per megawatt. You can enter into that agreement. Each project has to come before the Board of Commissioners for approval And it's $7,000 per megawatt for a 20-year span. Every year they pay that. On the pipeline, if we're talking the Ruby pipeline, all the taxing districts in the county on the taxation, that's been a huge boost. Roughly, we used to get in the general fund operations about $1.9 million in property tax. With the Ruby pipeline, we get a total now a little over $3 million. Our taxation is going up. This year, our taxation went up as a whole. Everybody pays about $85,000. That's a show of growth within Lake County. Short-term jobs that come with these, long-term jobs as they get bigger and come along. So taxation, it helps us. 78% publicly owned, 22% pays the property tax in Lake County. So the more taxation we get, the more dollars we get to put the services on the ground for law enforcement and all the other services out there that we provide.
Mike Warren, the same question as a mayoral candidate.
Okay, once again, the question as a mayoral candidate is the pipeline south of Lakeview, the solar panel project along Stock Drive. I'll just say that neither one of those projects are within our town boundaries. They're within the jurisdiction of the county commissioners and mayor. They're just not in our boundaries, so we have some jurisdiction as town council.
Ray, do you have anything to add with that?
Well, about the only thing I can add to is like Brad said, it's gonna bring in jobs. It's gonna help our local mill here, get rid of a lot of waste that they've been stockpiling. So I think Red Rock will be a great progress for Lakeview. And by it coming in, you're gonna bring in people that's gonna buy houses, gonna pay taxes, we're gonna rent houses, and then possibly we can get some more businesses in here.
Okay, and while you're here, because this question is for all four of you again, what is your position on Measure 1931, the marijuana initiative?
Well, that was passed locally before I became on the city council. And I voted against it. You know, when I came up on a state measure, I'd vote against it again. I don't think we need it here, but it's here. We're gonna have to work with it and do the best we can.
Thank you. Bruce?
Almost the same answer. I voted against it before, I'll vote against it again. I also, this whole situation to me doesn't make much sense. As was explained earlier, the idea of, well, something's legal here, but if you cross that invisible line between county property and Fed property, it's not legal, but there's no line on the ground. I don't see how that can be enforced. So it's a terrible problem. I don't have a good answer, but I won't vote for it.
Thank you. Brad?
I've had, if you want to say pleasure or misfortune of having several different public meetings on this. People propose it from economic development to it's the worst thing in the world. As commissioner, I had to take my personal hat off and not bring my personal views in there. That's the way it is referred to the voters here in Lake County. Lake County voted it down 62%. I wasn't able to bring my personal views in. Legislature gave us the opportunity to send it back to the voters. Remember, it's legal in Oregon. What you're voting on is not whether it's legal or not, it's whether it can be distributed within the unincorporated parts of Lake County. Me personally, I'm not for drugs. How could I be for drugs whenever Lake County's policy, drug policy, is a zero tolerance? So if I supported marijuana, I would be going against my own policy, our policy at the county. No, I'm not for that.
Thank you. And Mike Warren?
I have advocated for the medicinal usage of marijuana, and I think that it is something that here in our state has been legal since 1998, and it is something that I do believe is proven in many instances and studies that are now being done here in the United States and other countries, that medicinal marijuana is just what it is, medicinal. And so I did act compassionately in our council meetings, asking that we would at least allow medicinal marijuana facilities in our community. We have none. You know, I don't know that we will ever have any. We're a small community. I didn't feel it was that big a threat. And in regards to the marijuana issue, the state of Oregon voted it in. there can't be a line drawn and a civil war started because of that. The voters of Oregon, I know not the majority of us here in Lake County did it, but those in Portland, as they do, rule much of our lives. It's statewide now. It's something that, as Brad mentioned, it's not going to go away. So we have opened up in the town of Lakeview to the medicinal usage of marijuana. It's now encompassed by the OLCC as part of a program that encompasses both medicinal and recreational, and that's beyond our point in voting. We voted for medicinal, but yet the state legislature has combined the two, the OLCC and the OHA. So we're stuck with that, and so we have various businesses that have opted to locate here. So we'll continue to welcome the investors to the town of Lakeview, to a new industry that I think will prove itself here in the state of Oregon. And that's what we all voted for as Oregonians. So.
Thank you. And that concludes the questions for Brad and Bruce for County Commissioner. Would you please give it What I'd like to do is have the mayor candidates come up again, and the council candidate. I don't see him.
He had to leave.
Okay, he had to leave. All right, so you guys are on, okay? We'll start with you. All right, this question's for both of you. What reasoning could town council have for allowing marijuana sales without tax revenue to cover the related costs such as law enforcement needs?
You know, I don't really have an answer for that, but I will look into it, whoever wrote it. If you will contact me, I will get back with you and see what I can come up with.
Okay, thank you. Mike, same question.
Okay. What reasoning could the town council have for allowing marijuana sales without tax revenue? The town will have to vote, the community will have to vote in not this election, but the next election, which if there is a dispensary that locates in our town of Lakeview, can be taxed by your vote. The vote is up to you as to tax, and it's before you. You can vote to up to 3% on medicinal, or not on medicinal, only on recreational sales in our community. So the taxes would be used here locally by the town of Lakeview for whatever endeavors, mainly the police and the issues that we have involving those tied to the marijuana. And of course, our cost would be up in probably surveilling the activities, but I think the state of Oregon has already got so tight that it's pretty well watched from the state level and not really under our control.
And so you're saying that the first time just for clarification to the listening audience, the first time the taxation could be on the ballot would be 2 years from now?
Would be in 2018.
2018.
And it is up to the voters to decide what amount they would like to see the town enact, if in fact the dispensary ever locates here.
Okay, moving on, and this is for both of you. So Mike, do you believe Lakeview needs a covered pool, athletic pool center? And if so, how would you suggest this be accomplished?
I think town of Lakeview needs, and I visited my door-to-door canvass through the campaign. I found out that the town of Lakeview and our surrounding community of Lake County is in dire need of covered facilities of all natures. And so a multi-use cultural facility would be best fitting for the town of Lakeview, perhaps through some type of agreement that we could get with other government agencies. We could get something like that, and we could all benefit, and we could have and host different organizations with the facilities that we are so desperately needed, and we can use them as individuals as well.
Ray, the same question.
Yeah, I do believe we do need to cover over that pool. One, that way the school will have access to it for their PE classes. The public will have access for it for their exercising and stuff. And possibly they could end up swimming as a sport in school. I'm all for it, and there is possibly we could get a grant for it, or we could do some fundraisers, or we can do something. But yeah, we do need a cover on it.
Okay, and stay right here because these are for both of you. What kind of tax revenue will the town of Lakeview get if Measure 1931 passes?
No, I'm sorry, I can't answer that one because I'm not real sure. I think the most it will get is 3% out of it, the way I understand it. And the way I see it, that probably no more sales that you're going to see here, that they're not going to have that much money.
Okay, Mike, the same question. What kind of tax revenue will the town of Lakeview get if Measure 1931 passes?
I don't feel that the town of Lakeview is the beneficiary of this tax that or not tax, there is no tax actually included on the measure that has been submitted to you as voters. So it's only to my knowledge what's been posted on this. This is the first time I've seen it, but it is a county issue. We'll all vote as county residents. The town of Lakeview has already opted in and has investors who have already invested up to millions of dollars in our community already. And so I find it hard to turn them away from those investments when the Lake County Economic Advisory Committee spoke before the county commissioners and our community and advised our leaders to propose to support and opt in here in our area for economic benefit. But 1931 has to do with the county, and so it's not an issue that is to be decided by the town of Lakeview. So that's something that the county residents will have to decide. But I found out tonight that Lakeview residents will vote on that same issue because we're county residents as well.
Okay, and Mike, while you're still here, this is for both of you. This has to do with
I think it's a vibrating phone.
oh, okay. I thought, he stole my heart. I thought his face was still on the ground. Continuing on, you guys, this has to do more with that marijuana issue. It says, will the city continue backdoor around people's wishes? You both have answered that this really doesn't affect the town here. But the need seems to be to answer for both of these is how can you use the mayor's office to keep the legalization of pot from negatively affecting our town, and how do we protect the children? Mike, you want to answer that first?
The legalization of marijuana is already here. The state of Oregon voted for that, and so the town of Lakeview at this point has no control over it. It is a state-regulated industry, and I don't see any way that we will have any jurisdiction over the OLCC and the OHA rules in regards to the marijuana issues here in our community.
Thank you. Ray, same question.
Well, like I said earlier, it's here. We're going to have to deal with it with the best we can. And I really don't feel that the city is actually really going to benefit that much from this. That's my personal opinion. Thank you.
Okay, the next question, we'll start with you because you're right here. Are you willing to make Lakeview a safe place for American citizens instead of the sanctuary city it is for the illegals and drugs?
I'll do everything I can to make Lakeview safe. We need to clean up the town. We need to clean up outskirts of town. And we need to get rid of some of this that doesn't need to be here. We've got houses here that's falling down and stuff, and people are actually moving into these houses. We've got to stop that. We don't need these illegal drugs coming in here, and maybe we need to put together a task force to stop it.
Mike, same question.
As far as a sanctuary city for illegals and drugs, I don't think that Lakeview should be categorized as such. I think that we have a drug problem in and around our community, and it involves both our jurisdiction of Lakeview and out in the county's jurisdiction. And I think that we have very good law enforcement personnel who watch over the situation and have moved in on various instances and shut them down. as long as our law enforcement keeps doing what they've done, I think our community will be safe. And as far as the illegals in our community, I think we have a large number of community members who may not be the same color of skin that we have perhaps had here in the community for so many years. But I grew up in an area that was 50% Hispanic, and the best friends that I had were Hispanics. And so as we see more and more people of color come to our community, I would just ask that you open up and see what kind of people they really are, and don't look at them as wetbacks or illegals or whatever you want to call them in that regard. I don't think we have a large number of illegals in our community. I think they're all trying to be citizens of our, thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Same question.
I just answered that one, I think. Yeah.
For the illegal,
That's right, thank you. What are the top 3 needs of the Lakeview Police Department? And how hard will you fight for raises for our brave officers?
Well, what's really nice to see now, we do have a full police force, which we haven't had in a few years. And as much work and stuff that they do, we do need to give them a raise. They do need one. And I think they need to be brought up to standards. I'm not sure that they are right now, but I have to give a lot of credit to our police department, our sheriff's department, and our state police for the work they're doing.
Thank you. Mike, same question.
Okay, in regards to the police force here in our community and being deserving of extra salary, I think that they definitely are that. I have been in a family, my grandfather was chief of police in Phoenix, Arizona, and I will tell you that I saw many things that happened while I was going to broadcasting school in Phoenix, that officers in that largest city and officers in our small of a community as we have are faced with. We've heard about it in our neighboring Lodi County today, and our prayers go out to them. It's something that I think that there's probably not a pay scale that is fit for an officer. I respect each and every one of them for taking their lives and making sure that we can live a safe life. So I respect them, and if they are deserving of pay raises, if we as a town can budget that, I certainly would be agreeable to do so.
Okay, now this is the last question for the 2 of you, and then I have one more. Mike, what plans will you put in place to encourage and support entrepreneurial efforts of independent small business owners?
Well, I have been a small business owner all my life, 40 years in the broadcast industry, and stations in as small a communities as 335. And it's a joy to serve the communities that I've served, and Lakeview especially, and this is where I'll lay my head to rest when I'm gone. But I will just say that the small businesses of our community are what makes Lakeview what it is. And they're mom and pops. We have a few larger industries that are stores that have moved into our community, and we'll continue to see some growth, I'm sure, and I would welcome that growth. I don't think we should shut anyone out from wanting to offer services and retail goods to our community. We all have to and are forced to go out of town for supplies, which I hate to see. It would be better if we could all just stick right here and support our local merchants.
Thank you. And Ray?
You know, I support the small businesses. I'd like to see more in here, but I think what would help get them in here is if we spruce up the town. I spent a week going along East Street, cutting the weeds out of the sidewalks before rodeo opens, just for the parade, to clean it up. I think our buildings that we have uptown, we need to paint them, clean them up, and I'd be willing to help out doing it. I don't have a problem doing that. I'm willing to get out and work and help everybody, but we do need to get some business in here.
Thank you very much. And Mike, I have one final question for you, and then we'll applaud both of you, because we appreciate you both running for mayor. What is your opinion on marijuana as a getaway drug, and do you currently use this legal drug?
I think probably it's gateway drug is what they're referring to.
A lot of people get away.
In regards to the usage of marijuana, I know many people who have used marijuana, and I'll tell you that I have used marijuana in my younger days. And in that usage, I will tell you now, I am not on any types of drugs. It's been, I think 1999 is the last visit I paid to a doctor. And so, you know, someday I'm sure I'll be called in to visit with a doctor. But it has been that long since I've been to a doctor, since 1999. It didn't make me start using drugs later on in life. So I don't think it's a gateway drug, just from watching others around me who do utilize what is the same as, and if you want to put it in this text, I've had alcohol before, I've had a beer, I've had liquor, and it's all legal in Oregon now. They're the same substance. It's a substance that is regulated by the state of Oregon, and so it's up to you as individuals to choose whether you want to use that, and I don't think it's a gateway drug. So a getaway drug, maybe, I don't know.
Hey, will you give them a round of applause, please? Before I dismiss you and conclude the forum, I really would like to give my appreciation to all of you for attending and to these fine candidates who desire to serve our community. It takes a great effort for people to step forward, fill out the contract, all of the application process that they go through. And so when you vote on your ballot and everything, remember to color that little oval in, as Stacy said. And I want to remind the people that whoever wrote this card, if you would be so kind, Stacy will refer to it tomorrow. She will call you. But there's a medical thing happening at their house, and so she had to leave and go. But I do thank you. I thank Josh, ITT Tech, for setting up. I think the examiner will have this up on their website within 36 to 48 hours. KORV, FM 93.5. We thank them for a live broadcast, and we thank our timers. I thank all of my AAUW people that came out to support. And you, the public, have the right to vote. That is your democratic responsibility for living in the United States of America. And with great pride, I go around to 18-year-olds and say, have you registered? Have you registered? And yesterday was the last day to register. But please encourage people to go vote. One vote can make a difference. And so I thank you very much for coming out tonight. I thank the radio audience for being with us. And most of all, I thank these candidates for having the desire to serve us. So thank you and good night. Would you give them a round of applause?